Some pain doesn't show up on the outside. You still smile. You still show up. Life keeps moving. But inside, something hurts, and no one seems to notice. You pray quietly. You wait. You wonder if God is listening at all. This story is for moments like that. It's about silent tears, misunderstood pain, and prayers that never made a sound, but were still heard. It reminds us that even when you feel overlooked, dismissed, or forgotten, God sees what others miss. And He listens, especially when hope feels fragile. 1. A pain that lives in the background. Hannah's story begins quietly. No dramatic scene, no long explanation, just one line that carries a lifetime of weight. Scripture says, Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. 1 Samuel 1:2 ESV. That's it. No commentary, no defense, just the reality. And sometimes, that's how pain enters your life too. Not loudly, not all at once. Just a single sentence that changes how everything feels after it. Hannah lives in a household where life goes on as normal. Worship continues, family gatherings happen, conversations keep moving. But inside her, something is missing. And it doesn't go away with time. The Bible doesn't say Hannah did anything wrong. In fact, it clearly tells us the Lord had closed her womb. Now, this is really important. Hannah's pain is not punishment. It's not a failure. It's not the result of bad choices. If you've ever carried a struggle that others don't see or don't know how to talk about, this chapter from the book of Samuel is already speaking to you. Hannah's story reminds us that some wounds don't interrupt life. They run quietly underneath it, and God sees them. Before Hannah ever says a prayer, Scripture lets us know something important. Her pain is real, her silence matters, and her story is worth telling. 2. Loved yet still hurting. One of the hardest things about pain is realizing love doesn't always remove it. We're told that Hannah's husband, Elkanah, loved her deeply. During the yearly sacrifice, to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her. 1 Samuel 1:5 ESV. That detail matters. Hannah is not ignored, she is not neglected, she is loved. And yet, Scripture adds this honest line, though the Lord had closed her womb. Love and grief exist side by side here. This is important for you to hear, because sometimes pain doesn't mean you're unloved. It means you're human. You can have support and still ache. You can be surrounded and still feel empty. Elkanah's actions are kind, but they can't heal the deeper wound. No gift can replace what Hannah longs for, and Scripture never criticizes her for feeling that loss. If you've ever felt guilty for hurting despite being blessed in other areas, Hannah's story speaks gently to you. God doesn't shame her for her sorrow. He records it. This part teaches us something simple but freeing. Pain doesn't disappear just because love is present, and God understands that truth better than anyone. 3. When pain is misunderstood. Hannah's pain doesn't stay private for long. Scripture tells us that her rival used to provoke her grievously, to irritate her. 1 Samuel 1:6 ESV. Year after year, the same wound is pressed again and again. This isn't a one-time comment. It's repeated, ongoing, and it breaks her down. Therefore, Hannah wept and would not eat. 1 Samuel 1:7 ESV. Then her husband speaks. Why do you weep? Why do you not eat? Why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons? 1 Samuel 1:8 ESV. His words aren't cruel, they're sincere, but they miss the point. Elkanah tries to fix Hannah's pain with logic and reassurance, but pain doesn't always respond to logic. Sometimes it just wants to be understood. If you've ever been told, you should be grateful or others have it worse, you know how this feels. The intention may be good, but the result feels lonely. Hannah doesn't argue. She doesn't defend herself. She simply carries her sorrow quietly. And here the book shows something many people experience. Sometimes the people who love you most still don't fully see your pain, but God does. And He's about to meet Hannah where no one else can. 4. Crying in silence before God. Eventually, Hannah does something small, but brave. She stands up. After the meal at Shiloh, Scripture says, Hannah rose. 1 Samuel 1:9, ESV. Sometimes faith doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes it's just getting up when you don't feel strong. Then we're told, she was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. 1 Samuel 1:10, ESV. This isn't a calm prayer. It's not composed. It's emotional. Hannah brings everything she's been holding inside directly to God. She makes a vow, not to bargain, but to surrender. O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant and remember me. 1 Samuel 1:11, ESV. That word affliction matters. Hannah names her pain without shame. She doesn't hide it. She doesn't soften it. If you've ever prayed quietly because you didn't have the strength to explain everything out loud, the story of Hannah can give you the strength to open up. God doesn't ask her to clean up her emotions. He lets her cry. The scripture is now reminding us of something important. You don't need the right words for God to listen. You don't need volume for God to hear. Sometimes the most honest prayers are the ones spoken only in the heart, and God knows what's in your heart. Before we continue, remember this promise. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. If that truth comforts you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Stick to God. This channel exists to remind you that God never leaves the hopeless unseen. 5. When your prayer is misjudged. As Hannah keeps praying, someone notices her, but misunderstands completely. Scripture says, Eli observed her mouth. 1 Samuel 1:12 ESV. Her lips are moving, but her voice was not heard. And Eli jumps to a conclusion. How long will you go on being drunk? Put your wine away from you. 1 Samuel 1:14 ESV. This moment stings. Hannah comes to God honestly and is accused instead. Even in sacred spaces, pain can be misread. But listen to how Hannah responds. No, my Lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit. 1 Samuel 1:15 ESV. She doesn't lash out. She explains, I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. That phrase, pouring out my soul, captures everything. This isn't performance, it's release. If you've ever felt misunderstood while doing the best you could, especially in your faith, this moment speaks directly to you. People may misjudge your silence. They may label your grief. But God knows the difference between rebellion and brokenness, and He never mistakes honest prayer for weakness. 6. Peace before the answer. Eli finally responds, not with accusation, but with blessing. He says, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition that you have made to him. 1 Samuel 1:17 ESV. Notice what happens next. Hannah doesn't receive a sign. She doesn't receive confirmation. She doesn't receive a child, yet. But Scripture says something remarkable. Then the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. 1 Samuel 1:18 ESV. Nothing has changed on the outside, but something has shifted inside. This is one of the most important moments in Hannah's story. God gives her peace before the outcome, assurance before evidence. If you've ever walked away from prayer still waiting, but somehow lighter, this is that moment. God doesn't always answer immediately, but sometimes He answers by steadying your heart first. Hannah doesn't stop wanting a child. She doesn't stop hoping, but she stops carrying the weight alone. This verse teaches us a quiet truth. God may not change your situation right away, but He can change how you carry it. And sometimes that peace is the first answer. If you feel comfortable, you're already blessed by the Lord. Please take out a moment to share in the comments a moment when you were truly broken, but still prayed and felt God hear you. Your story matters. It could encourage a brother or sister who's walking through a difficult season right now and needs hope. 7. When God remembers what others overlooked. The story moves quietly forward. No announcement, no drama. Scripture says, they rose early in the morning and worshipped before the Lord. 1 Samuel 1:19 ESV. That matters. Hannah worships before anything changes. Then comes a line that carries enormous weight. And the Lord remembered her. not because he had forgotten, but because now was the time to act. In due time, Hannah conceived and bore a son. 1 Samuel 1:20 ESV. That phrase, in due time, is important. God's response is not rushed. It is deliberate, personal, exact. Hannah names her son Samuel, saying, "I have asked for him from the Lord." Her story reminds you of something easy to miss. God does not respond to pain on your timeline, but he does respond with purpose. If you've ever wondered whether your quiet prayers disappeared into silence, this moment speaks clearly. God sees what others overlook. God remembers prayers spoken only in the heart. God acts, not randomly, but intentionally. Hannah's years of waiting were not erased. They were woven into something meaningful. And this chapter teaches us gently, delayed answers are not denied care. God is present in the silence. And when the time is right, God provides and removes sorrow from our lives. 8. Letting go without losing trust. Hannah's story doesn't end with receiving. It ends with releasing. After Samuel is born and weaned, Scripture tells us Hannah returns to Shiloh. This time, not to ask, but to fulfill her vow. She says to Eli, "For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me my petition that I made to him." 1 Samuel 1:27 ESV. Then she does something extraordinary. "Therefore, I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is lent to the Lord." 1 Samuel 1:28 ESV. This isn't loss, it's trust. Hannah gives back what once felt impossible to receive, not because she has to, but because she believes God's care didn't stop with the answer. If you've ever been afraid that healing would require you to lose control again, reflecting on Hannah's story helps you understand your fears even better and control them by having unshakable faith in God's plan. This is the lesson the story leaves with you. True peace isn't just about receiving what you prayed for, it's about learning to trust God after the answer comes. Hannah walks away without Samuel, and that's the point. Faith isn't proven by holding on. It's shown by letting go when God asks you to. Her story teaches us that faith doesn't end when the tears stop. It continues in obedience, in surrender, and in choosing to trust God's plan, even when it costs you something. Hannah's story reminds us that God doesn't need loud prayers to listen. He sees the tears no one else notices and hears the cries spoken only in the heart. Sometimes, the answer comes as peace before it comes as change. And sometimes, that's how healing begins. If stories like this help you feel less alone and more understood by God, stay with us. Subscribe to Stick to God, where we share quiet, honest stories that draw you closer to Him, one prayer, one moment at a time.